Whilst most people are focused on the frenzy of politicking going on in Scotland in the build-up to the September 18th referendum, however, unbeknown to most, including the mainstream media, is that there is already a bank run underway, not only in terms of flight of capital from the Scottish banks, but that is hitting the whole of the UK hard in terms of capital outflows. The risks of a Scottish independence is resulting in a flight of capital out from the whole of the UK, which so far this year has seen more than 100 billion leave the UK, which is set against an inflow of approximately 50 billion for 2013. And the amount of capital outflow is accelerating, as evidenced by the mainstream press recently partially waking up to what is taking place by reporting on the 17 billion of outflow for the month of August alone. Whilst the statistics for September won't be available until mid-October, the place to look for an answer is the British pound, because as depositors pull funds out of the UK, they would sell pounds for other currencies such as the dollar and euro. In this respect, sterling's slide has accelerated during September, reaching a recent low of 160 against the dollar, near twice the rate of decline for the whole of August. That prompted Bank of England intervention to support sterling at 160, which suggests that as much as £34 billion could have left the UK so far this month. That could more than triple to 100 billion if Scotland actually does vote yes. Where it would not surprise me if the British pound plunged to under 150 against the dollar, despite heavy Bank of England intervention as panicked investors sold UK assets. Whilst Alex Salmond continues to deluge the airwaves with propaganda surrounding the potential for sharing of the Bank of England, the fact remains that UK politicians of all three major parties unequivocally continue to reject the SNP's cunning plan to effectively park a Trojan horse outside of the Bank of England on Scottish Independence Day that would effectively allow Scotland to go on a deficit spending binge on a sterling credit card by printing debt without any consequences of currency panic that normally would result in a very high, if not hyperinflation, but instead, like a cancer, seek to consume its English host over a number of years as the policy of sterling sharing sucks the financial lifeblood out of the British pound. Had Scotland been independent at the time of the financial crisis of 2008, then its bankrupt banks RBS and HBOS, with their over 2 trillion of liabilities, would have bankrupted Scotland's 150 billion economy more than 14 times over, in an economic collapse many times worse than that of Greece or Iceland. Scotland's financial sector is near twice the size relative to the Scottish economy than were that of Ireland, Iceland, Cyprus or Greece. Therefore, Scotland's banks are backed not by Scotland but by England, and if Scotland votes yes, then no one is going to take any of the deposit guarantee promises of the SNP politicians seriously, as the credit ratings agencies would downgrade Scottish banks to junk status that would instantly make them insolvent. Whilst no banker will officially acknowledge that a bank run is underway due to the obvious reason of intensifying the panic, however, the signs of a banking sector panic are clearly apparent, as all of Scotland's major banks, who had previously committed themselves to staying silent during the independence campaign, instead early last week panicked into announcing statements attempting to reassure fleeing depositors that they would effectively become English banks following Scottish independence yes vote, as they declared contingency plans to move their headquarters and legal entities south of the border, which translates into should Scotland vote yes, then all of Scotland's major banks will in large part quit Scotland. The Bank of England and UK Treasury are effectively now in crisis mode ahead of Thursday's vote, as they attempt to formulate contingency plans which will mostly amount to making a string of open-ended promises backed by UK taxpayers in an attempt to bring to a halt the run on British assets, as well as ensuring that Scotland's ATM machines don't run out of British pound notes, much as took place during the Lehman crisis of 2008 that was followed by 6 years of economic depression. To illustrate the degree of behind-the-scenes panic, both the Chancellor George Osborne and the Bank of England Governor Mark Carney announced yesterday that they would be pulling out of the G20 Finance Ministers Summit due to take place this weekend. Scottish nationalists plan to continue to use sterling after independence, called sterlingisation, which ensures that when the newly independent nation soon runs out of currency reserves, both as a consequence of socialist deficit spending and a financial crisis, then the only place left to obtain currency would be to literally steal the bank deposits of the Scottish people Cyprus style, which I'm certain will take place within a few months of Independence Day. The bottom line is that for Scottish nationalists, independence is a religion, in the pursuit of which they are willing to sacrifice everything. Therefore, separation is inevitable. So what England needs to do is to formulate a strategy for the orderly dissolution of the United Kingdom to protect England from the mayhem that would follow its destruction. For if destruction of the Union does not happen on September the 18th, then it surely will in another 20 years or so.
For auld lang syne, my dear, for auld lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet. For auld lang syne, for auld lang syne, my dear, for auld lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet. For